Welcome back to my channel. Today I have friends coming over, so I'm going to be making them some simple and delicious beef tacos with homemade tortillas. So let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is prepare the beef, as it's going to take the longest to cook. I'm using oyster blade today because it is the perfect cut of meat for pulled beef. First things first, once we've removed the beef out of the packaging, we're going to pat it dry and remove any silver skin on the exterior of the beef. And with the other side, we are going to leave as much fat on as possible because we are cooking this fat side down. It protects the meat from the direct heat. For our rub, we're just going to use a simple salt and pepper blend. You just want a nice even coat as you're doing this. Now that it's all coated up, we're going to leave it for about an hour just so the salt and pepper can penetrate the meat. All right, an hour has passed, it's time to put it in the smoker. I'm putting the meat in at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll come back in about 2 hours to double check on it. While the beef's getting cooked, we'll get started on our pickled onions. We're going to finally slice these onions and then place them into our container. For our pickling liquid, it's very simple. We're just going to start off with 2 cups of water, followed by equal amount of vinegar, which is 2 cups as well. For our salt level for our pickling liquid, it's the general rule of thumb of 10 grams of salt per cup of pickling liquid, so you're looking at about 40 grams of salt. All right, we'll bring that to a boil. During this time when it's boiling, this is when you start to add your aromatics. I'm simply adding a little bit of, about a tablespoon of black peppercorns, about a tablespoon of coriander seeds, finally 2 bay leaves. Now that our pickling liquid is boiling, we'll simply just turn off the heat and add it to our onions. And we'll cover it with our lid. And we'll let it set aside until we're ready to serve. After 2 hours, this is the first time I check the meat. I generally check for color more than temperature. If it does look a little dry in certain edges, I'll spritz it with a bit of water. 5 hours has passed and the color is exactly how I want it. The temperature should read, give or take, about 165 to 175 Fahrenheit. I'll put it on some aluminium trays and bring it inside. After about 5 hours, you should start to see your beef look like this. It has a nice, deep, rich, maroon looking color, which is what we want. This is the time now where we start to add our stock to poach our beef and any aromatics you want to add. First ingredient we're going to add is some brown sugar. This will help it caramelize and give it a sweeter flavor. So I'm making 2 different versions of pulled beef. For one of them, there won't be any spice because a couple of my friends are allergic to chili. So this one here will just contain basically a sweetness to the beef. So after the brown sugar, we will use some ginger beer. For the spice lovers, I like using Chipotle and Adobo sauce. This will provide a good kick to the beef as well as a sweetness to the poaching liquid. Next ingredient is beer. I usually use Stout beer, but I completely forgot to buy it, so lager's gonna have to do. Now I'm going to put some aluminium foil over the top and then put it back in the smoker for about 4 hours, but I'll occasionally flip it every 30 minutes just to cook both sides of the meat. Quick tip before you put it back in the oven or the smoker, I like to leave one side of the tray open because you want the liquid to evaporate and the sugars to caramelize. So as you're pulling the beef and mixing the juices in, it will create a nice, more delicious taste. Now for our corn tortillas, we're going to start off by using some corn masa. These can be found at any specialty grocery stores. We're going to start off by using 4 cups of masa. We're going to feed about, I think it's about 15 people. So 4 cups of corn masa should equivalent to about 50 corn tortillas. Next will be a pinch of salt. This is optional. We'll give that a quick mix. Now we're going to add about 3 cups of warm water. We'll gradually add in the water as we're mixing it slowly. Corn masa is gluten-free, so you don't need to work any gluten structures in the dough. You're just simply hydrating everything inside the corn masa. Okay, after about 5 minutes of kneading, your dough should look like this. A tip that I learned from somebody is to know how hydrated your dough is. All you need to do is simply roll a ball, squish to the side, and if there is no cracks around, you know your dough is hydrated enough. Cover with some cling wrap and then we'll let it rest for about 30 minutes. All right, the dough has been rested. It's time to press them out and start cooking them. I'm using a tortilla press to press down our tortillas, but if you don't have access to one, that's not an issue at all. You can simply just use the bench and a pot to press them down. They may not be even, but they will still work. I'm using a non-stick pan. We're just gonna turn it on a medium to high heat. First step we're gonna do is weigh out 50 grams. So we'll simply roll it into a ball and we'll put it between 2 pieces of baking paper. Simply press it down. There we have it, there's our first corn tortilla pressed. We'll lay the tortilla down and cook for about 10 seconds. Flip it over and we'll give it another 30 seconds. Then on your final flip, you'll start to see your tortilla puff up. That's when you know your corn masa has been well hydrated and seared properly. Now that the tortilla is ready, we'll simply place it in a Dutch oven with a tea towel and we'll have it covered. And we'll let it steam while we cook the rest of the tortillas. All right, all the tortillas are done. Let's get on with the beef. I've just taken the beef out of the smoker. It's been smoking for about 10 hours. I've had to wrap it in aluminium foil to speed up the process. We'll let it rest for about an hour, let it cool down, and then it's ready to be pulled apart. All right, an hour has passed, so let's pull the beef apart. Now that the beef is ready, it's time to assemble. To assemble, we'll start off with our corn tortilla, a little bit of the meat mixture, our pickled onion from earlier, and a bit of coriander to top off. And there we have it, simple and delicious beef tacos to satisfy my friends. Time for the taste test.